Craig Button, TSN's Director of Scouting, with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Wanted to quickly ask you about the Jets. We haven't talked to you since the end of the season. And, I mean, we spoke during the year. There was lots of questions about the Winnipeg Jets, the direction they were going in, Paul Maurice leaving, the disappointing season, missing the playoffs. I'm interested in how much you heard of from the players in that final week. Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers, Paul Stastny in particular, with some of the most damning comments I've heard about a team, the culture that they had in the past. And then, of course, the biggest question about Mark Scheifele, who, to be honest, sort of sounded like he was an unrestricted free agent as opposed to a guy with 2 years left on his contract. What did you make of the end of the Jets season and their challenges going into the offseason?
Well, number one is when you have a disappointing season where it appeared there was promise there. There's going to be a lot of the comments that you heard. The disconnects. Okay, we didn't do the right things. We didn't play the right way. We didn't have the details. We didn't hold each other accountable. That doesn't surprise me one bit. Number one, that's what happened. Because I think when we look at the Winnipeg Jets and we look at the goaltending, we look at the blue line, we look at the forward group. I don't think there was any question that they should have looked at their team as one with promise. And I think when you fall short like they did, I think there's going to be profound disappointment. As it pertains to Mark Scheifele, Mark, to me, I have no problem with his comments. Maybe we could look at it and say he could have said it differently or said it in a more private manner. But I got no problem with it. Because that tells me that he cares, that he's invested, and he wants to know. Now, in previous years, in previous times, players weren't as vocal, but trust me, Andrew, they had the same feelings. And maybe those conversations went on in private, but Mark wears it on his sleeve. And so, when you start to look at it with 2 years left on his contract, I said the same thing, and this is where I'm going to finish. I think the Winnipeg Jets are just like the Calgary Flames last summer. You know what? They had all these really good players. They fell far short of what they expected to achieve. And, we don't have this. Johnny Gaudreau's not a Daryl Sutter type player. This guy isn't that. This guy, should they trade this guy? Everything that goes with it. That's what comes with disappointment. But I still think the Winnipeg Jets have promise. I think that they have a lot of the really good elements. I said it, and I know that, at different times, you had one coach leave the team because he felt that he couldn't get to the team with his voice and they needed a new voice. Well, the new voice came and he couldn't make the difference either. When you look at all the defensive metrics that the Winnipeg Jets had this year at the end of the season, they're right at the bottom of the league. And if you're not good defensively and the same things keep plaguing you, you got problems. And there's two places we can go. I know where I go. I go to the coaching. I think the coaching was not very good this year. I don't think it was good under Paul Maurice or under Dave Lowry. But I will say this. If you don't think it's the coaching, then let's talk about Kevin Cheveldayoff and what then the composition of the team. I don't see it that way. I think that Kevin, at the end of the year, making the changes in the coaching, he recognizes it. And now there's an opportunity to get somebody, with the ability to get not only the players' abilities to their potential, but the team to play to what their expectations are too. That's the way I see it.
Well, and speaking of coaching, we've been on Trotz Watch since last Monday here. I mean, of course, a Manitoba product, a guy with strong ties to this. He would be the dream candidate. I mean, a guy that would come in, that would command that sort of respect, that has the results, and it would be off the ice as well. I mean, I think a Trotz hire, if they could pull it off, Craig, would immediately take care of much of the erosion of maybe the confidence in the team from part of the fan base. But from your perspective, you've been in front office before. You see this roster. You see what happened with this team this year. What kind of a coach would you be looking for if you're looking to put a new guy in to get a far different result than the disappointing ones we saw last year in Winnipeg?
So let's just talk about Barry. I mean, we know that he's accomplished. So why don't we go back to the time that he left the Nashville Predators? He went to the Washington Capitals in 2014. Well, 2014. He won the Coach of the Year, President's Trophy, Stanley Cup. Now, that's the last time the Washington Capitals won a playoff. He goes to the New York Islanders. Okay, now keep this in mind about when he went to the New York Islanders. There wasn't a big change in player personnel. The players that he went in there, they improved their defensive play from right at the bottom of the league, top 5 in the league. Coach of the year. Conference final. This year, what they went through with the COVID, playing on the road at the beginning of the year, everything that went with it, and that team still performed. In my view, I think he maxed out their capabilities with everything that they went on, right? So we have now a sample size so large about Barry Trotz's abilities. And again, taking a Washington team and doing what he did with them, taking a New York Islanders team without a change of personnel and doing it with them. Like, one of the things, and I'll be straightforward with you, Hustler, we sit here and we talk, and we'll talk about goaltending, we'll talk about defense upgrades, we'll talk about forward upgrades. Oh, they got to be better on the special teams. But heaven forbid we say the coaching needs to be upgraded. You know what? Some of the most sensitive people are the coaches. I'll be straightforward on that. What? You're immune to criticism? You know what? Do a better job. You know what? I'll stand by it. The Winnipeg Jets suffered from subpar coaching this year. That's my view. Barry Trotz would fix it.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of love in the chat room right now, Greg. I can tell you there's a lot of people that feel the exact same way. There's many people, and I mean, your colleague Darren Drager, who's got a pretty good line into Chevy, has said he doesn't see Mark Scheifele being part of the Winnipeg Jets next year. Say they were able to get Barry Trotz's name on a contract in the next week or so. Do you think that changes the situation? I mean, listen, they've got a long body of work. They know what's happened. I think much is what it is alleged is sort of behind closed doors with the culture of the team. But if you brought in a guy like Trotz, how much would that potentially change the situation for a player that so much is relied on, like Mark Scheifele? Or if you make a move like that, how integral do you think Barry would be in deciding the sort of players that he'd like to come back in a deal? Because there'd be interest around the league.
Listen, so the first thing I would say, again, we go back to the composition of the team. I think it's really, really I like the composition of the team. Every team has to examine what they need a little bit more of, where they'd like to make a change. I get that. I think Kevin and his management group have done a terrific job. I really do. I'll leave that there. I'm going to go back to Calgary. The easiest thing on the planet is to trade Mark Scheifele. At his contract and his performance level, easy to trade him. Good luck getting value back. Good luck. It's the same thing I said about Johnny Gaudreau last summer. Good luck. So, you know what? And how many people said, oh, Johnny's not a Daryl Sutter type player? Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, okay. Whatever you say. Players want to win. Players want to be successful. So you talk about Barry. Barry comes in. I mean, he's got immediate credibility because of what he's done with star players, superstar players, Ovechkin, Backstrom, winning the Stanley Cup, everything that he's done, immediate credibility. Barry would go and sit with Mark Scheifele and talk about it. Like, Mark didn't say he wanted to be out of here. Like, just keep this in mind. Keep this in mind, Andrew. When Ryan O'Reilly talked about in Buffalo how he didn't like the losing attitude, they got their knickers in a knot, and they traded him. What did he do? He went to St. Louis and he won. Okay? I'll take my chances with Mark Scheifele. I'll tell you that right now. I'll take my chances with Mark Scheifele every day of the week. And I think Barry Trotz would too. I'm going to go one more place. St. Louis. Craig Berube won a Stanley Cup with Vladimir Tarasenko. He had some injuries. He was disappointed in what had happened. And he said, I want to be traded. Doug Armstrong and Craig Berube said, hang on here a second. We're going to go and sit with you. We're going to talk to you, right? Let's have the conversation. Let's understand what's bothering you. You know what? Conflict resolution. There's going to be friction in relationships. There's going to be friction when things don't go right. But let's find out how we can get. I look at Vladimir Tarasenko was the St. Louis Blues, top scorer this year. And you know what? They knew what they had. Vladimir listens, and I think Mark would listen. I don't. So we can speculate if he won't be here or he will be there, right? All I know is that's the process that I would undertake. And when somebody like Barry Trotz comes in and lays it out, and we start doing, you can trade Mark Scheifele, trust me, and it'll be easy to trade Mark Scheifele. Good luck on getting the value back.
No doubt. I will say this about St. Louis. They were somewhat fortunate that Seattle didn't take him for nothing in the expansion draft. But oh my God, I mean, did he come out? And that was the best case scenario. And what a season Tarasenko ended up having.
Well, you're right, and maybe that was part of the conversation. Okay, well, Vladimir, we're not just trading you for something, but if we'll leave you off the expansion draft, if they want you, away you go, right? And probably, sometimes you got to just say that's fine, you can leave, but here's how you're going to leave. You're leaving on our terms. Think back to Matt Duchene when he said he wanted out of Colorado. Joe Sakic said, fine, but I'm trading you on my terms. And I'm going to trade you when it's right for us. And so play your butt off and play hard, because if you don't play well and play to your abilities, I'm not going to be able to trade you on our terms. Well, and he did. And it was the same thing, Doug Armstrong. I'm not saying, hey, don't it's not all about, it's a two-way street. And I think that Doug and Craig Berube did exactly that with Tarasenko. And hey, we can look back and say, maybe the Seattle Kraken made a mistake.
This has been a real fun conversation, Craig. Thanks so much for making some time for us in Winnipeg. Enjoy the Battle of Alberta and enjoy the Battle of the Western Hockey League getting going Friday here at the Ice Cape between our Winnipeg Ice and the Edmonton Oil Kings. Have a great one and a great long weekend.
Yeah, same to you, Andrew. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy joining you.
There he is, our good friend Craig Button, TSN's Director of Scouting.